There are people in this world that nobody can control. No matter what you do to them, they don't break. Life hits them hard. People come at them. Plans collapse. Betrayals happen. And yet they stand there, calm, rooted, unmoved, like a wall that absorbs everything and gives nothing back. What do they know that you don't? Pause for a second and really think about that. Most people are living on a hair trigger. Someone says the wrong thing, instant explosion. A plan falls through, they spiral. A stranger gives them a cold look, their entire day is poisoned. They walk through life with their emotional state completely at the mercy of whatever happens to cross their path. And they wonder why they feel exhausted, why they feel powerless, why life always seems to be winning. That's not normal. It just feels normal because you've lived in it for so long. But here is the shift that changes everything. This is where everything flips. Nothing in your external world has any real power over you. Not a single thing. Not the rude comment. Not the unexpected failure. Not the person who disrespects you. None of it carries any weight on its own. Carl Jung, one of the most penetrating minds in the history of psychology, observed that most human beings are, in essence, prisoners, not of circumstance, not of other people, but of their own unexamined inner world. They believe the world is doing things to them. In reality, the world is only ever reflecting back the unresolved material they are carrying inside themselves. Here is the cold truth. Nothing can get to you unless it finds something in you to grab onto. Let that land. Someone calls you a failure and you feel your chest tighten. That's not because of their words. That's because somewhere inside you, a part of you, fears they might be right. That's the part that hurts. Someone ignores you, and you feel that quiet sting. That's not because of what they did. That's because a part of you still depends on their approval to feel whole. This is why two people can face the exact same situation and walk away with completely different emotional responses. One person laughs it off. Another is wrecked for days. The event is identical. The difference is entirely internal. This is what Jung called shadow work, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. The practice of turning your awareness inward, of making the unconscious conscious, of recognizing that every trigger, every frustration, every emotional spike is actually a signal pointing back at something inside you that hasn't been resolved yet. Most people never do this work. They run from their triggers. They mute them, suppress them, or blame the world for making them feel bad. But the people who genuinely wake up, who do the uncomfortable work of looking inward, they discover something that completely rewires how they move through life. The outside world is a mirror. Not metaphorically, psychologically. Every reaction you have tells you something about yourself that you haven't fully faced yet. And the moment you truly understand this, the moment it stops being an idea and becomes something you feel in your bones, something shifts. You stop being controlled. This is the moment most people never reach. You don't need to hide from difficult people. You don't need to engineer perfect circumstances. You don't need anything outside of you to be a certain way. You become genuinely immune, not cold, not robotic, not detached from life, but untouchable, fully present, fully engaged, and completely unshakable. Most people spend the majority of their mental energy trying to manage things they have absolutely no control over. And it's draining them. They want people to like them. They want outcomes to go their way. They want life to be fair and predictable. And every time reality fails to cooperate, they suffer. They get offended when disrespected. They feel blindsided when things collapse. They take it personally, as if the universe has specifically chosen them for some form of targeted punishment. But nothing in the world is out to get you. The world is neutral. It doesn't favor you. It doesn't persecute you. It simply moves. Jung understood this. He wrote that the external world is neither good nor bad. It simply is. Everything you experience as positive or negative is the product of the filter through which you are viewing it. Think about two people going through the same situation: a business failure, a relationship ending, a sudden loss of income. One of them falls apart. They convince themselves it's over, that they've been permanently damaged, that there's no coming back. The other person sits with the discomfort, processes it, and eventually asks, "What is this showing me? What does this open up?" Same situation, completely opposite internal response. The difference is perception. Jung wrote that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Read that again in your mind. Let that settle. It means that every time you react blindly, every time you feel offended, bitter, anxious, or out of control, you are not responding to reality. You are responding to a story your unconscious mind wrote, probably a long time ago, based on old wounds and old beliefs. And because you haven't examined those stories, you keep living inside them, mistaking them for the truth. Here is where the real leverage is. The more energy you pour into trying to control things outside yourself, the more power you hand over to those things. The moment you need someone's respect, they own you completely. The moment you need a situation to unfold a certain way, that situation owns you. The moment you need life to be fair, you've made yourself permanently vulnerable. But the moment you stop chasing that control, the moment you release it, everything shifts. You become free. Free from the need to be validated, free from the fear of being judged, free from the exhausting work of managing how other people see you. And paradoxically, the less you need things to go a certain way, the more naturally they tend to fall into place. The less you need approval, the more quietly confident you become. The less you chase, the more effortlessly things come. This is not mystical. This is neuroscience. Studies in cognitive psychology confirm that the more fixated the mind becomes on controlling an outcome, the more resistance it creates. The desperate need for love repels connection. The terror of failure locks in the very patterns that produce it. The obsessive grip on control breeds the deepest powerlessness. So ask yourself honestly, are you moving through your life, or are you being dragged through it? Are you responding consciously to what's in front of you, or are you reacting on autopilot? Hand it over entirely to whatever happens to press your buttons. Because once you answer that question honestly, the game changes completely. If you're getting value from this, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe. This channel is built for people who want to think differently and operate at a higher level. Now, let's get back to it. What's actually happening when someone gets under your skin? Picture this. You're walking through your day, minding your own business. Someone throws an insult at you. Maybe they call you weak. Maybe they say you'll never amount to anything. Maybe it's more subtle. A dismissive tone, a condescending look, a passive-aggressive comment from someone you work with. What happens inside you in that moment? Be honest with yourself here. For most people, it's immediate. The chest tightens, the mind races, the emotions are running the show before a single conscious thought has formed. And for hours afterwards, sometimes days, they're replaying it, analyzing it, fuming over it. But now imagine a different response. The insult lands, you hear it, and then nothing. Not suppression, not performance, just a quiet, grounded recognition. This has nothing to do with me. This is what the Stoics trained themselves toward, what the Zen masters embodied. What Jung pointed at from the psychological side. Nothing from the outside can disturb you without your permission. That's real power. The only reason anything reaches you is because it finds something already inside you to connect with. Here is what's actually happening when you get triggered. Most people have built their identity, their sense of who they are, on a fragile foundation, on what others think of them, on how they perform, on whether things go their way. This is what Jung called the ego-constructed self. And because it's built on sand, it is always under threat. Any challenge to it feels like an attack on your existence. This is why an insult doesn't just feel like words, it feels like a threat. because to the unexamined ego, it is a threat. It's pressing on the very foundations your self-concept is built on. But Jung describes something deeper than the surface personality, the shadow, the parts of you that you've pushed underground, the fears you've never spoken out loud, the insecurities you pretend aren't there, the wounds you carry quietly. And here's the thing about the shadow. This is the part most people run from. It doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It sits just below the surface, and every time someone presses on it intentionally or not, it erupts. When you feel a sudden, intense, disproportionate reaction to something someone said, that reaction isn't about them. It never was. It's about what they accidentally touched in you. They didn't create the pain. They revealed pain that was already there, waiting. This means that every emotional trigger you have is actually information. It's a map. It's pointing directly at the unfinished work inside you. If someone calling you a failure sends you into a spiral, the productive question isn't, how dare they? It's, what part of me still believes this might be true? If being ignored sends you into silence and bitterness, the real question is, when did I first learn that my worth depended on being seen? These are not comfortable questions, but they will change your life if you face them. They are the questions that free you. Because here's the truth. You cannot be triggered by something that has no hook in you. Yell at a mountain and the mountain doesn't respond. It doesn't take it personally. It doesn't spiral. It just stands there. The words land on it and fall away because there's nothing for them to grab. The goal isn't to become a mountain in the sense of being cold or unfeeling. The goal is to do the inner work so thoroughly, so honestly, that when someone launches something at you, there is simply nothing for it to grab onto because you've already looked at it. You've already owned it. You've already made peace with it. At that point, you are genuinely unshakable. There is something deeply counterintuitive about human psychology that most people never figure out. People believe they are reacting to the world. But in almost every case, they are reacting to themselves. Someone delivers a cold response in a meeting. One person registers it and moves on. Another spends 3 hours afterward deconstructing what it might mean. Same moment, two completely different internal experiences. The words didn't do that. The interpretation did. This is why Jung said that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves, not as a nice-sounding idea, but as a precision diagnostic tool. Your irritation is a signal. Your defensiveness is a signal. Your anxiety is a signal. None of it is caused by the outside world. All of it is pointing back at the architecture of your own mind. Now, what do you do with this? The first move is to stop fighting your triggers and start studying them. Most people treat emotional discomfort as an enemy, something to suppress, outrun, or eliminate. But the triggered state, when approached correctly, is one of the most valuable sources of self-knowledge you have. Every time you feel that spike, that sudden defensiveness, that hollow feeling, that flash of anger, you have an opportunity not to react, to observe. Ask, what story did I just tell myself about what happened? What does this reaction say about what I secretly believe about myself? What would it mean to sit with this discomfort, rather than immediately moving away from it? This is not passive. This is some of the hardest, most demanding work a person can do. But it is the work that produces the result you actually want. A mind that cannot be rattled. Think of it this way. Most people move through life as pieces on a chessboard. They react to every move that's made. They're caught in the logic of the game. But there's another position available, not just playing the pieces better, but stepping back far enough to see the whole board, to understand the patterns, to choose your moves from a place of clarity rather than reaction. Better still, imagine watching the game from above, fully present, fully aware, but no longer swept up in any particular move. That is what emotional mastery actually looks like. Not numbness, not absence of feeling, but a deep, stable awareness that remains steady even as everything moves around it. You are not the emotion. You are the one watching the emotion arise, recognizing it, choosing what to do with it. Here is what happens when you operate from that place consistently. The people around you feel it. You stop projecting need, and people stop sensing an angle to push. You stop reacting to provocations, and people stop finding it useful to provoke you. Your energy becomes stable, clear, and self-contained, and that, paradoxically, draws people toward you rather than pushing them away. You are no longer a puppet. You become the one who sees the strings. None of this happens by accident. The unshakable mind is built deliberately, repeatedly, over time. Neuroscience gives us the mechanism. The brain forms pathways through repetition. Every time you react emotionally to a trigger without examining it, you reinforce that reaction. You make it more automatic, more likely to fire the next time. But the reverse is also true. And this is where it gets interesting. Every time you catch yourself in the moment, before reacting even for a fraction of a second, and make a conscious choice rather than an automatic one, you are literally reshaping your neural architecture. You are weakening the old pathway and building a new one. This is why mindfulness is not soft. It is one of the most effective psychological technologies we know of for changing how the brain handles stress, threat, and emotional activation. It doesn't teach you to feel nothing. It teaches you to create distance between stimulus and response, and in that distance, freedom lives. The practice is straightforward, even if it's not easy. The next time something provokes you, a comment, a setback, an unexpected piece of bad news, try this. Don't act on the first wave. Feel it rise. Notice where it shows up in your body. Acknowledge it without immediately moving to suppress or express it. And then ask the one question that changes everything. What is this really about? Not in a self-blaming way, not in a way that demands an immediate answer, just with genuine, open curiosity. Because that question asked honestly, in the middle of the discomfort, is the beginning of everything. It's the crack in the wall through which the light gets in. It's the move from reaction to awareness, from prisoner to observer. And over time, with consistent practice, something remarkable starts to happen. This is where the shift becomes real. The things that used to derail you stop landing with the same weight. The insults that once stung go quiet. The setbacks that once felt catastrophic start looking like data. The opinions of others, which once had enormous power over your state, begin to feel like noise in the background, present, but irrelevant. That is the untouchable mind. And very few people ever build it. Not built through avoidance, not built through toughness or emotional suppression, built through honest, patient, rigorous self-awareness. Built by doing the one thing most people are not willing to do. Looking inward instead of outward for the source of their experience. The moment you stop handing your internal state over to the world, you take back something that was always yours. Full ownership of your reality. You stop being a mirror that reflects every mood, every slight, every unexpected difficulty. You become the source. Steady, clear, immovable. That's not something the world gives you. It's something you build, deliberately, daily. One moment of awareness at a time. The question isn't whether you're capable of it. You already are. The question is whether you're willing to do the work. Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway from this video. And if this kind of content is what you're looking for, thinking that sharpens you, ideas that actually change how you operate, then subscribe and hit the bell. This isn't motivation. This is transformation.